The next speaker, let me introduce the next speaker, Dr. Aditya Kelkar. He is the chairman or the chief of National Institute of Ophthalmology. He has got a great academic career. He has presented many papers in national and international forums and conducted instruction courses. He has won many prestigious awards. Recent one is from the American Society of Retinal Surgeons, that is Red Buckler's Award. And he has won many awards in the AOS also. With this kind introduction, I would like to call upon Dr. Aditya Kelkar to give his talk on intraoperative OCT and diabetic vitrectomy. Over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. So first of all, thank you for including me in this instruction course. I'll be presenting a very short topic on intraoperative OCT in diabetic patients. So as you know, many scenarios exist in diabetic vitrectomies where preoperative OCT is not possible. For example, in patients who have vitreous hemorrhage, you cannot have a preoperative OCT, and therefore at the end of clearing up of the vitreous hemorrhage, if on table you can see what the macular pathology is all about, then you can always modify your approach. For example, if the patient has epiretinal membrane, then you can think of removing the epiretinal membrane, or you feel that there is cystoid macular edema, you can always take care of it by using intravitreal anti-VEGF or some other steroid implant. So in this case, after clearing up the vitreous hemorrhage, we could note that there is epiretinal membrane. And so this epiretinal membrane is then taken care of. So intraoperative OCT helps us in making certain decisions, which otherwise at times you may end up not taking into account certain pathologies such as this one. And then the visual results will be suboptimal. So it's always a good tool to have in your armamentarium so as to improve your safety as well as the efficacy of the treatment. This is another case where at the end of clearing up of the vitreous hemorrhage, we could see that there is epiretinal membrane and then internal limiting membrane and ERM is removed together. It also sometimes helps us in making decisions on table by giving a quick feedback. For example, in the scenarios where you are facing a situation where there is vitreous hemorrhage and like in this case of a vitreous hemorrhage patient, it's obviously practically impossible to get a preoperative OCT. So once we clear up the subhyaloid hemorrhage, then have a look at what the posterior pole offers. And it definitely improves the visual outcome, because if you don't identify these pathologies with your naked eye, which is often possible, of course, I agree. But at times when things are very subtle, you may miss these things. And therefore the intraoperative OCT can be of use in scenarios such as this one. So in this case, as I said, we can introduce intravitreal triamcinolone in case you have cystoid macular edema at the end of clearing up of the vitreous hemorrhage. Another interesting scenario is to identify on table quickly whether this is actually a macular hole or a pseudo hole. You want a quick feedback from the OCT and it shows that it's a pseudo hole. So then you can easily approach through the same area because that's the cleavage plane, and then introduce a posterior vitreous detachment and remove the vitreous. So it's also useful, as I said, for a quick feedback on table to identify certain pathologies just in case you are in doubt. Another interesting aspect, it's not just useful for the retinal visualization, but also at times you can see there's a clear-cut wound gape, and therefore a stitch in time would definitely help in these cases to prevent hypotony and help us to ensure that there is no recurrence of vitreous hemorrhage. So these are certain scenarios where I find intraoperative OCT, especially in diabetic cases, will be useful. Thank you once again, Dr. Sunil, for having me in this course. I think if there are questions, we'll be taking it up later, looks like.
Yeah, sure, Aditya. Thank you for the talk on the intraoperative OCT.
So thank